Can I ask you a hypothetical question you already know the answer to? For you to work at a company, how important is organizational culture and the way that you're respected? Does it improve your productivity and morale if you know that your opinion holds water and weight with the higher ups who are in charge of steering you in the right direction throughout your workday? Well, obviously, the answer to that obvious question is yes. And I've got some figures and facts that you may want to consider in regards to this very issue. So, my friends, if you'll indulge me, here we go. According to a recent Deloitte survey, it found that 88% of employees believe that a respected and distinctively renowned workplace culture was important to the overall functioning of the entire workplace. 94% of executives felt the same. Meanwhile, a recent Robert Half survey revealed that more than one-third of today's workforce would turn down the perfect job if they believed the workplace culture was not a good fit. And finally, according to a 2023 APA Work in America survey, it found that 92% of workers, it's important to them to work for an organization which values their emotional and psychological well-being. As the manager of organizational development for Gale, which brings business insights to brand storytelling and activates it across every channel, my friend Kristopher Saim is focused on designing transformative learning experiences, facilitating growth potential as a result of training programs, and coaching employees and executives to have goal-oriented outcomes and sustained organizational and personal success. His expertise lies in creating scalable, high-impact solutions that align with business strategy, ensuring that leadership development and talent optimization drive long-term results. And he's got his own individual and personal story with why his health is so important to him after a health scare which saw him battle cancer. And he joined me this week to talk about optimizing organizational culture, the power of resilience and respect in the workplace and in life in general. This, my friends, is a great conversation about the power of resilience and how it can help lead thriving organizations into the future. So without further delay, I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. If you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to dive into your philosophy on organizational development. It's wonderful to see you again, my friend, and I'm delighted to be with you this afternoon. Thanks for a few minutes, my friends.
Kevin, it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, and I truly appreciate you reaching out. I know it will be a great conversation.
Yeah, and just before we dive into your philosophy on organizational development, my friend, it's the holiday season. So, Chris, I want to know what's on your holiday wish list, my friends?
This year, I think more than ever for me, just a really great season overall. I have found myself this year watching a holiday movie almost every single day during the month of December, and that is a huge shift for me. I'm typically someone that shows up to Christmas Eve and I'm ready to celebrate on Christmas Eve, and I'll watch some holiday movies that day with the family. But the Christmas spirit kind of took me over this year, and I have been checking out all the sites and watching the movies, and definitely looking forward to getting together with my family next week. But I just really am hopeful that we're all in the spirit and in good spirits, and we are all looking forward to the time that we're getting ready to spend together.
Yeah, Christmas is my favorite time of the year, minus the shopping, my friend. I'm not a huge fan of Christmas shopping, but being together with family and friends is the best part of the year, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I look forward to these holidays. I think the older I get, I look forward to them more and more because it's time to see your nieces and nephews and their growth, and obviously spend time with my own children and my grandchildren. It's definitely it's a great time of the year just to get together and celebrate the year behind us and look forward to the year that's fast approaching.
Absolutely, my friend. And as we dive into your experience and knowledge when it comes to organizational development, Chris, I know that you believe in the mantra that empowering success through transformational training has a great deal of impact, my friend. So I'm wondering your thoughts on what the word transformational training and impact means to you, my friend. What does that mean to you?
Well, that I definitely recognize as a headline from my LinkedIn profile. So you've definitely done your research, sir. Um, I feel extremely strongly about training that is transformative. That I'm really fortunate in my role at Gale that I get to do two huge things for the organization. One is the large focus on training and development, and then I also get to support about 150 of my peers through coaching as well. So I'd like to look at the training piece as kind of a one plus one, and I think the training is it goes hand in hand with the coaching, because as we're learning new soft skills, we're really focusing on things like emotional intelligence, critical thinking, self-awareness. It really helps people to kind of navigate the complexities that they experience at work on a daily basis. It helps them really try to lead with empathy, and really it helps them contribute more meaningfully to the organization's goals. So, looking at the types of training that we put together and deliver, and then looking at that in addition to the coaching, where we can take a more personal dive into any topics that the teammate would want to go through. I think it's a real holistic approach when you look at the training plus the coaching. It helps people connect the personal goals that they've set for themselves with their team's goals or the organization's goals. And I think that really helps people perform their best and really be happy at work. When we look at people or the organization, the members of the organization as whole people or whole individuals, we can really empower those folks to bring their authentic and best selves to work every day. And I think this not only is a fuel for people's personal passions as they relate to the jobs they do, but it also creates a ripple effect on their immediate teams and the culture of the organization as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, I'm curious to get your thoughts on, findings from Slack that reported this year that 55% of employees and businesses believe that their organization is transparent, but only 18% of employees agree with that statement when it comes to being open and honest about the direction of an organization. So I'm wondering your thoughts when it comes to company culture. 80% of employees believe that the details of an organization and the decisions that they make are vitally important to progressing forward as an organization. So how can we sort of close the gap of organizational trust between leaders and the people that they're in charge of leading? What are your thoughts there?
As I talk to friends that are in the industry, and I'm a member of a mindshare group locally here in Kansas City with other organizational development professionals, this certainly, the stats that you shared from that Slack survey, definitely they resonate with the feedback that I'm getting verbally and during Teams meetings and some of the other external training opportunities that I take advantage of myself. I think the findings, obviously, they share show a pretty big gap between perception and reality when it comes to transparency in organizations. I think of the people that I work with, one of the things that they crave is just clarity, and not even about the decisions that are being made, but the whys behind those decisions. Transparency requires a lot from everyone. It requires a natural desire for curiosity, but it also requires a great deal of vulnerability from leaders. It's not always fun when you have to be in a position and share that you don't have all the answers and that you're still seeking input yourself and looking for those answers. I think when an organization fails to communicate, they really risk eroding the trust that they've established. And oftentimes, when that trust is eroded, you really lead to employee disengagement. I think when an organization, really focuses on transparency, it involves, the creation of a regular two-way communication flow. I think you find those employees tend to feel empowered to ask questions. They're not scared because that psychologically safe space has already been created. And I think the leaders in those organizations really listen, and something that they lead with is honesty and respect for the people that they have surrounding them.
Yeah, and I know one of the big missions at Gale is to tell a brand story through the clients that you work with. So, from an organizational perspective and the work you do at Gale, what do you think it means to tell an effective brand story from an organizational development standpoint?
Yeah, I think so. Just to make sure I understood your question correctly, Kevin, you want to know kind of how our organizational development team it kind of fits into the brand story for Gale.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about our team's role in our organization and the work that we do, obviously we create our training programs in house. We have a team of folks that go out and do research, bring back key findings. We interview key stakeholders on a regular basis, and we really look and seek to understand the gaps that people are experiencing in regards to soft skills, communication, collaboration, things like that. I think when you look at the kind of behind the scenes nature of that work, the things that we are providing folks with are really tools that help them do their jobs to the best of their abilities. We've created a space where people can show up authentically and be naturally inquisitive, and really seek to kind of understand how the skills that we talk about can really be brought to life in the workplace. And I think it's kind of an integral piece to the empowerment that our team feels when you work for an organization that supports your personal growth goals, and they sort of envelop your personal goals into the goals that the organization has, and the two kind of meld together at some point. When you're an employee that works in an organization like that, you're free to do your best creative work. That directly feeds into, every single person that works in our organization is touched by the learning and development offerings and to the coaching aspect of what we do at Gale. And certainly that empowers them to do the best brand storytelling, to lean into their most creative selves and really deliver their best work every day. It all happens behind the scenes, and it's not frontline work every single day, but we're really making an impact on people and creating spaces where they feel like they can be authentic, they can bring their creative ideas, and they're really empowered to share those ideas with the teams that they work with their managers, with their manager's manager. It's really been one of my most, I think, as an employee, one of my most impactful roles that I've had in any organization. And I see through the work that people are doing the impact that this work has. And I feel that and I hear that in feedback, whether it's feedback directly for me or for the folks that work on our organizational development team as a whole. And again, just really empowering people to do their best work really kind of fuels what our organization does. The diversity and creative thinking that we have, it's truly represented by all of the individuals that work for our organization, and them knowing that they're supported in their own goals for learning and development, really feeling supported in that, I think gives them extra space and runway to be creative and to do the work that they do.
Yeah, and Chris, I want to dive into the idea and concept of trust, and I'll give you some numbers to back up my next question. Research from MIT and the Sloan Management Review, Chris, found that trust is a critical driver of employee engagement. And, trusted employees, they say, are 260% more motivated to work harder. Their lower absenteeism is lowered by about 41%, and 50% are more likely not to seek another job if they feel more trusted at work. So I'm wondering your thoughts on the importance of trust at work and how that's a driver for the work that you do, and your thoughts on those overall findings as well. What are your thoughts there?
I think the statistics that you shared, I think it's a pretty telling story, right? It reveals that there's a definite opportunity for leaders to build stronger connections with the teams that they work with. Trust is 100% the most invaluable currency, I think, in the workplace. Without a foundation of trust, I think it prevents leaders from being able to lead teams. It certainly prevents them from having an ability to shift change or to lead change in the organization. Obviously, trust grows whenever people demonstrate, whether it's a leader or an employee, you demonstrate things like consistency and care, and competence for the work that you're doing. When a leader follows through on their promises, when they take the time to explain the why behind the decisions that are made, and even when a leader shows up with empathy during a challenging time for an employee, whether that's a challenging personal time or a challenging time at work, it significantly impacts how those employees, perceive not only the leader but the organization. I think a lack of trust, whenever that is, whenever that is present, I think people oftentimes perceive that there's a lack of understanding or maybe a lack of alignment between organizational values and actions. And I think it's up to the leaders of organizations to really work to close this gap by really exemplifying things like transparency and accountability and fairness in not only the decisions that they make, but the decisions that the team collectively makes, and really showing up for those folks that are on your team, again, by establishing a foundation of trust and respect from day one.
Yeah, and Chris, for you, I know that it's important that you sort of integrate a deep understanding of instructional design from the concept from delivery, which you believe is essential to delivering engaging and thought-provoking programs that are driven by results, my friend. So I'm curious why this is a integral focus for you and every goal that you set from a core foundational standpoint and the work that you do. Why is this so important to you?
It's really interesting that you asked that question, Kevin, because I feel like when I started in this role about 2 years ago, I had previously been in a account management role, so I was always client facing, and I had that career that spanned three decades. So I had seen kind of the dawn of the internet age through the time that I was managing accounts to the digital movement that we now find ourselves. I mean, obviously, digital is the number one space where brands are spending their time and money. I think instructional design, when you think about it, it's really about creating experiences, much like the experiences that we create for the customers of our clients and our clients. It's really about creating learning experiences that engage and resonate with the people who are the target audience. It's so important when you're on that journey from researching a topic to the execution or the delivery of that first training session. It's really important to make sure that the topic is relevant, but also that based on the information that you share and exchange during those training sessions, that training also should be actionable. People should be able to put the information that you're sharing with them into something that can impact their work that same day. And I've had feedback from folks that attend a training session. Even later on the same day, someone will shoot me a Teams message and share with me that session that they just attended on feedback was something that they were able to put to use that same day and impact the life of a peer or a direct report because they attended that session. I think what leads that to happen is the attention to detail that's put into these programs, making sure that you're not just trying to check a box of someone receiving training about any type of skill, but you're actually helping drive a behavioral change for each individual. And that obviously means that you have to have messaging in your session that impacts that individual or helps that individual realize, oh, hey, this applies to me too. I can use this. And you need those nuggets for every single person that's in that session. And you have 20 diverse individuals with 20 different ways of approaching things. And each of them needs to receive that message. And I think that's why the design piece of what we do is so important. Every initiative I feel like personally that I support has to not only align with our organizational priorities, which of course are a priority, but also the real world needs that those participants have, the things that they truly need to move the needle for themselves. And I think when those two pieces are aligned, the priorities of the organization and the needs of the audience that you're training, I think that really guarantees a long-lasting impact. It helps make sure that the message isn't just heard, but it's actionable and action is taken as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, I want to dive into the concept of organizational alignment and how it intersects with creating a collaborative culture, my friend, which also has an inclusive vision where everyone is respected. So tell me your thoughts on how organizational alignment and collaboration contribute to inclusion. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think alignment is really it's a cornerstone of any healthy organization. I think whenever employees can see that their individual contribution, how that connects to the larger strategy of the organization, I think that really helps create the accountability and the sense of purpose that people want to feel for their work. When we collaborate with each other, we're really making sure that, we're just not handing down a message or passing along a vision, but we're really working to build something that's co-created, and it takes into account all of the diverse perspectives that we work with. Again, when I look at the teams that I work with, the folks that I coach, it's really interesting because there are no two people, as you well know, Kevin, there are no two people that are alike. And really trying to reach people in the space that they are comfortable in, that can be something that is a challenge. But when you work every day to make sure that you overcome that challenge to the best of your abilities, that's where that inclusivity is seen and felt by the people that you work with. And whenever you are inclusive in the way that you're approaching your day to day, your achievement of goals, the work that you deliver, you're really kind of creating an extra strong bond in the buy-in that people have. And I think that bond and the buy-in, it really helps people overcome their natural resistance to want to change. I think back to my early days, whenever there was any sort of change initiative coming down the pipe, it seemed just natural to want to brace for impact and really just prepare yourself for whatever that major shift would become. But whenever the right leaders are in place and they're able to communicate what the vision and the mission are, it gets reinforced through consistent messaging. And the teams get to be involved in shaping the way that vision or that action item comes to fruition or gets to the execution stage. I think that shared vision really helps unite people. Obviously, the inclusivity of this entire process, I think, is one of the things that strengthens organizations when every person feels like they belong or they have a seat at the table to bring whatever the vision or mission is to life. It makes people feel like they're part of something bigger than just their individual role at the organization. And I think people naturally have a desire to want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to be a part of a team. They want to be a part of an organization or community.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I'm also curious to ask you about the steps that you take to motivate people that you oversee. What's the key to motivation in your view?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I don't actually have any direct reports of my own. I've had direct reports my entire career, but currently I'm part of an amazing team. But I will say that those 150 people that I work with as coach, I definitely feel like there's a good deal of just engagement and motivation that really ties to understanding what drives each person as an individual. Some of those folks really like recognition. They want to know that they're doing a great job. I think other people really want to have kind of a clear picture for their own personal growth goals. And they really want there to be a connection that they can see and feel between the work that they're doing and the impact that that work has, again, on their teams, on that community, that organization, the clients that they're working for. I really work to help people set clear expectations for themselves up front. And I consistently revisit those expectations that each individual sets for themselves, really to make sure that there's still alignment as we move forward together throughout the course of a year in our coaching together. I think giving people the validation of that recognition, giving people the validation of being an active listener to the concerns that they have, and really leaning in and helping them uncover untapped potential or the knowledge that they already possess on how to approach any sort of roadblock or challenge they might experience during a day. I think that can really inspire, again, people showing up authentically and with the spirit of mind. They're going to do their best work today. They're going to deliver something incredible. I think lastly, just creating a culture of trust is something that I work hard to do with the folks that I coach, with really anyone that I'm fortunate enough to get to interact with at work. I think building that foundation of trust and respect where people know that it's okay to take risks and they know their leaders are going to support them in those risks. I think that is a key driver to something that really motivates people at their core.
Yeah, and Chris, to that point, as you know, I talk to organizations about the importance of infusing folks with disabilities into the workforce. And tell me, my friend, what are your thoughts on how infusing individuals with disabilities into the workforce can act as a competitive advantage for the entire organization? What are your thoughts there?
I think first and foremost, Kevin, it's really about the diversity that, people from all walks of life, disabilities included. I know both you and I have discussed the disabilities that we have with each other. I am a stage 4 cancer thriver. I've been on chemo now for 2.5 years and still holding on strong after we didn't think I would make it the first 9 months. 26 months into it, I'm still showing up every day to work when I'm not in chemo and giving my best of myself to the people that I interact with at work. I think that folks like us that have disabilities, we bring some amazing things to the workplace. The sheer passion for what we do, I think, is truly unmatched. I think for myself, these last few years, especially in the role that I'm in today, have been some of the most meaningful work and projects that I've touched in my entire 3+ decade career in advertising and being part of a business agency. I think whenever an organization prioritizes inclusivity, I think it's a proactive approach, making sure that hiring practices are equitable, to creating environments where people of all abilities can succeed. I think having leaders and managers who lead with empathy and understanding, that's an essential piece of what we're talking about. Just like offering the accommodations that allow individuals to contribute fully. I think, when an organization operates from this mindset of inclusivity, they gain unique perspectives. They really foster innovative ideas and creative channels that they may not have discovered before without having this inclusivity be something that's realized for the organization. I think making this a success for everyone involved, it requires, regular follow-up, ongoing dialogue, having conversations with people, in these roles who have a disability, making sure that, we're meeting their needs, their voices are getting heard. And I think that when an organization can be consistent, and these types of efforts and this inclusive mindset, it really sends just a hugely powerful message about the values of the organization and their commitment to diversity.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, if I told you that I was appointing you the leader of a seminar of 100 people who had just been appointed to leadership positions, I'm wondering the best piece of advice that you would give them to create a collaborative sort of organizational culture, and secondarily, your thoughts on the importance of collaboration as a key pillar to creating a thriving organization. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's interesting because I am asked for advice, for friends, family, and previous coworkers about, someone is just moving into a management role and they really want to know, if you had the opportunity to go back before you first became a people manager or first started leading a team, what would you tell yourself back then that maybe you didn't know? And I think, something that has kind of been innate for me or innate to me from a childhood to present day is really relationship building has to be a priority. The success that you have at work, the success that you have in life really depends on the strength of the internal and external relationships, that you've created with other individuals. I think when you look at the opportunity to truly build something with another human being that is centered on a relationship structured around trust and respect, you're opening yourself up to unlimited possibilities. I think, secondly, just creating and embracing that mindset of lifelong learning, always be researching, reading, and trying to grow in the space that you work in, embracing that mindset of curiosity and the desire to know more. No leadership challenges that you're going to come across really are going to ever be the same. They're going to require, more knowledge, more information, and more understanding. And really focusing, on clarity that is something else that I have really tried to, even for myself, I really want to be able to articulate a clear vision or clear goals surrounding the work I do, and I want to help my team and the folks that support me in my role to understand how they also help me contribute to the bigger picture. And then finally, on advice for newly appointed leaders, resilience and adaptability are really going to become your two best friends as you work through life as a leader. There's going to be lots of uncertainty. There are plenty of pressures, but when you are able to stay focused and grounded, and you're really open to feedback from every person that you interact with, whether you report to them, they report to you, or you have a dotted line relationship, or just a collaborative relationship, being open to feedback from all of those folks can really help you navigate, I think, most challenges successfully. And I've talked really briefly there about collaboration. I'm a firm believer that the collaborative nature of any work environment, really, that collaborative spirit is the glue that holds organizations together. And that collaboration alone can be, a success maker or a deal breaker. I think whenever there's a spirit and a foundation of a collaboration that happens in the workplace, it can help do things like break down silos. It really encourages people to reach out to others and engage them and their diverse ways of thinking to talk about ideas and to talk about the resources that are being used to support the building of those ideas. And when you look past the benefits, from an operational perspective, that breaking down of silos and encouraging people to get creative in the teams that they're working with and who they seek out for advice, I think when you look aside from that, collaboration also really supports that relationship building mantra that I share with people, and that foundation of trust and respect is so pertinent to success. I think, it really helps establish the culture that we've kind of talked about throughout some of our conversation. It's really helps establish that culture where people feel like they're truly valued and supported for what they do. That requires, I think, a lot of intentionality. I think, whenever you're working to establish clear roles, you're creating shared goals, and you're working through the conflicts that you experience constructively. It's been my experience that the organizations that I've worked for that have been the most successful, they're the ones where collaboration isn't just encouraged. It's literally part of the fiber or the foundation of how work gets done in those organizations. And, I'm really excited to be able to work with a highly collaborative team. There really is no project that I approach that doesn't allow for either a self-created opportunity to collaborate or just a natural desire to want to seek out other people's opinions and feedback, so that we are putting together, training programs that are really impactful and coaching interactions that are truly life-changing for some folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, I could talk to you for another 2.5 hours, but unfortunately, buddy, I only have about 10 minutes left. And the last question I have for you this afternoon has to do with your own life and legacy from a personal and professional perspective, my friend. So, how do you want that to be defined?
You know, this is something that I give a lot of thought to. Quite honestly, thinking about my personal and professional legacy is probably the most stressful part of my life right now, especially facing my own mortality with my current situation and to my cancer journey. I think about the type of legacy, the type of person that I want to be remembered for is somebody who has worked really their entire life to empower other people and to truly make an impact in whatever it is that I am doing, whether it be, again, raising children, helping raise grandchildren, or leaning into a training program or a coaching conversation. I really want to be remembered as somebody who elevated others, who delivered training programs that were not only creative and engaging, but messages that live on long past my own involvement with those training programs. I hope that people think that I am a person who, worked every single day to create an environment where people can thrive and people can be authentic and they can deliver their best work. From a personal perspective, I want to leave behind relationships that have been built on trust, authenticity, you know, shared goals and experiences. I want those. I want my children, my children's children. I want them to see the contributions that I've made, at a professional level and at a personal level. I want them to know that those contributions inspired other people and really challenge them to lead all of their relationship efforts with things like empathy and just a desire to grow as a human, as an individual, and really, really, whoever the individual is, whether it be in a professional setting or a personal setting, I really hope that they have taken the lifetime of building relationships and those meaningful relationships and connections that you have with people. I would love for people to carry that piece of me with them when I'm no longer here. I just have a natural desire. If this world spent half as much time focusing on the positive ways that we could build relationships and connections with each other, and we really focused on that trust and respect and authenticity, the world would be a marked better place, a much better place than it is today. And that's,
Yeah,
I think, what I would really like to leave behind.
yeah, totally agree, my friend. And finally, Chris, tell me if people want to get connected with yourself or Gale personally, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, if you're looking to connect with me, find me on LinkedIn and send a connection request or shoot me a message. I respond to all of those. Um, you can find my name, piece of cake. I'm the only Christopher with a K and the last name of Saim Saim. So there's just one of me. I'll be the easiest LinkedIn search you'll ever do. And certainly invite all of those connections. And you can learn more about Gale on the internet at galepartners.com. There's a ton of great work that you can click through and see all of the amazing things that are just extremely brilliant and creative teams deliver on a daily basis for clients. So, and again, check Gale out as well. You can also check them out on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Well, I personally want to thank you for our friendship and giving me the ability to engage with the staff at Gale. sharing my own personal experiences about a year ago, and I want to thank you for engaging in conversation about all the great work that you do when it comes to organizational development. My friend, you're really an inspirational and transformational person, and it was a real privilege to engage in conversation with you this afternoon. So I want to thank you for your time and for being here this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Kevin, it was an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation and hope left some of your listeners with some good nuggets that they can take away and apply to what they're doing.